Okay, we're back. Today's work is to learn how to make Ethiopian traditional bread. It's called Injera. This is sourdough preparation. It takes several days to actually make it. The method that I'm going to use, the one that I use, I learned from a lady up in Atlanta that was trying to teach a 24-hour version, which will actually work in 24 hours, but what we're going to do is we're going to do a 3-day version. I'm going to show you how we do it, and then you can decide how many days you want to take to make it. But the main thing is the initial preparation. I'll show you how we do that. And then after you set it up, you let it go overnight, and then the next day you check it, as I'll show you, like this, where you see the water's turned kind of dark on top, and then you pour as much of that dark water off as you can. You put fresh water in it, and again you leave it overnight, and you just repeat that for a couple of days. Now after the second day, I will usually put it in the refrigerator and let it go. Like this preparation I'm going to use today is actually 4 days old, and so now it's ready to put in the pan. I'm going to show you how you put it in the pan. Before I put it in the pan, I'm going to put just a little bit of baking powder in there, stir it around, and let it activate again because it's been in the fridge. And then I'll show you how it's done. This version is Teff Flour. I've talked to various people from Ethiopia about it, and there are different methods that are used. Some people use wheat flour mixed with Teff flour. Some people use teff and wheat and even barley, or maybe sorghum flour also is used. So those are different techniques that you could try on your own. Personally, I just like it with the Tef Flower, and I don't really see that much difference when you add the wheat. The main thing is the two types of Tef Flour. There's a darker one, and then there's a light called ivory, a light one. This one actually is made from a mixture of the dark and the light together. Wherever you get your Tef Flour, it's kind of hard to find a lot of times, but wherever you get it, usually it's going to be a synthesis of those two, and so that's what we're going to use here. So here we go. Now what I use here is just the Tef Flour, the yeast. I put some active dry yeast in there, about a spoon of it, and stirred it up with the water and the Tef Flour, and then I put in 1/3 of the amount of flour that I use. I put in 1/3 amount of cornmeal. Now I use a cornmeal that's milled over in Alabama, because if you're going to use cornmeal of any kind for anything, you want to make sure that the cornmeal is not made from genetically modified corn. So this is an heirloom corn that makes that they use to grind down this cornmeal. So I found out that a lot of people in Ethiopia like the cornmeal in with, or sorghum, in with the flour. Alright, so I took this out of the refrigerator. I poured the dark water off. I've got some more water added in. You can see there's a couple of lumps in there still, so I'm going to mash that down. But it's kind of like, you know, a thinner version of maybe a pancake mix, and I'm going to put that baking powder in here, and then I'm going to let it sit for about probably 15-20 minutes, just let it activate before I actually cook it. Now you're going to need you a pan that is one of these stick proof type pans. Larger the better, so you can get in and work this. Whichever pan you use, you need to have something to cover it with that'll cover it. So I have another size, exactly the same size that I put on top like that, and that is after I put my mix in and get it going. I'm going to leave the mix in for about 45 seconds to a minute. When I see it bubbling on top, I'll know it's ready. I'm going to turn the fire off and put the top on, and then let the steam inside cook the top. That's how it works. Alright, so I turned the fire on. I'm heating up the pan. It's feeling pretty warm in there. I'm going to let it go for a little bit longer, get a little bit warmer, and then I'm going to pour the mix in the pan to make a piece of bread. Let's see what happens. Alright, I'm going to pour this mixture in like a pancake in a circular motion, which is how they usually do it. Pour it in, around like that. Just going to let it go ahead and cook. You see it started to bubble on the top there. What we're going to do is we're going to watch it until it starts to show that it's cooking at the edge. It's a little bit thick still, but it'll be all right. You begin to see where the bubbles are appearing, that it's starting to show that it's cooking through. I made it decent size, and I'm just watching the edge. I see the edge on the edge is starting to cook now, so I'm going to turn the fire off. I'm going to take the top, rest the top on top of it like that, and then leave it on there for about a minute and let it cook. Alright, so it's been under there for about a minute. I'm going to take it off and see. Bam! There we go. There's our injera. Woo. Nice and soft. Take it, put it over on a plate to dry, and that's how it's done. Alright, so there it is. That's the bread. It's nice and soft and kind of rubbery, a little bit like softly rubbery sort of, and it has a very unique taste, as you can see, because of that particular flour, and also the fact that it has been fermenting. And so fermenting with the injera, it makes for a very healthy type of bread. Of course, there's only real grain corn in there and the injera, and so that means there's no wheat gluten in there. So if you're looking for a gluten-free type bread, you can make it home. That's also very healthy fermented bread. This is a good example. I will put a few things on here and show you one way you might want to use this. This can actually be folded and used like you would a tortilla also. But right now I'm just going to put some food on there, set it up, and show you how we do it. Alright, so here's the preparation style you might see. There are different ones. You can go online and look up Ethiopian food, and you will see different types of presentations. It's common to find a mixture of different foods, which is a good thing because you're getting a lot of vitamins. So on this one we have a Mediterranean type style rice that's also mixed with quinoa. There is two types of beans on here. We got black beans over here with onions, mushrooms, and tomatoes, and then over here we have garbanzo beans. That's like a curried version. Ethiopians eat a lot of curried food. And then over here we have mixed greens, the collard greens, turnip greens, and some other type of kale I got in there. And then finally, this is actually tofu. And what I did with the tofu, because I mix and match as I please, what I did with the tofu here is I made tofu in the pan, and then I created a gravy that involves really jerk sauce because I wanted it hot and spicy. I could have used berbere, which is traditional Ethiopian curry that is used, but I wanted jerk this time, made it nice and hot. and with a mushroom gravy. And so the traditional way is you take the bread and you break it. Like I got a piece right here, and you just take the bread and you grab your food with it like that, and then you eat the bread. That's how it's done. And a lot of people want more bread, so sometimes you'll make a second piece to have on the side just in case. But this is basically application of the injera bread with your food. Makes for a very different and delightful meal. And so I hope you'll try it out. Hopefully it's been helpful to you. Get in the kitchen and get with it. Bon appetit.